Hi, this is Dan Hickey. Welcome to my Big Open Online course and P507 class. This short video will introduce you to the Wikifolios and show you how to complete the first assignment in the course. You've already seen the video that orients you to the website and its features. There's two ways for you to get to the assignments. One is by clicking here on the link at the bottom, and the other one is under Participants. I'm going to go from the bottom at first. So here you see the basic structure of the Wikifolio. You want to click on this to see the contents. This is what it looks like. This is when I say a Wikifolio is public. This is what you see. You can see the instructions that people were responding to and that you'll respond to when you complete. You can see this required part here. You can see these optional parts down below. And then finally, you see down here some discussion and some commenting points. Let's go to the upper right there to click on the edit. When you complete your assignment, first thing you want to do is look carefully at the instructions and read it. These deadlines are actually quite important. We do like to stay with the flow of class. Don't get behind if you can help it. So if you click on that little tab there, the first part asks you to sort of describe your role. Say, what is your role in education? What you see here is a standard text editing window. There, for instance, if you want to paste from Word because you like working in a Word editor, that's there. If you want to paste a hyperlink, it's best to select the text that describes the link, then click on that box. When you do that, it opens up a little place for you to paste the URL. The next part asks you to talk about the setting, where you work. Now here's the part about the curricular aim. This is really important. Sometimes people describe sort of a project, a portfolio, an essay as their curricular aim. That's not going to work for this course. You really have to distinguish between the curriculum itself and the aim of the instruction. You want to read about this in Chapter 2 before you complete the assignment. Continuing on, you're asked to talk about the context in which your instruction takes place. And then finally, after the introductory material, there's this consider the concepts part, and these are all part of the required part of the assignment. The first part asks you to go off and find some relevant standards. Try to find the standard that your curricular aim is aligned to. This is pretty important, especially if you're a K-12 teacher, and especially if you're a K-12 teacher in the United States. However, if you're in a university setting or you're outside of a content standard setting, you still want to find out if there are standards relative to what you're teaching. So you want to take some time and poke around. In my case, I dug around some and I found actually these two sets of standards. The Burroughs Center for Testing had actually, they're a little old, but it's a nice set of standards for teacher competence and educational assessment. And then International Society for Technology in Education teacher standards. So I went and actually have posted the actual standard there from the Burroughs site that I liked, matched closely with my aim. Now the second part of the assignment asks you to actually put the standard in the box here with a little annotation, because when you do, that'll appear on this standards page. Now you can see that there's only two of them up there because we've just begun this course, but as you add them there, you will be able to share them with your classmates. So when you start this assignment, you want to scan this and look around at the resources that your classmates have provided. So the second part of the assignment, you'll see one of these in almost every assignment. This is what we call this ranking for relevance. Now, this is something that I've been studying in my research for quite a few years and has proven quite effective. It's a really good way to get you to connect sort of things that might be abstract or confusing to your own personal experience. So let me show you what I mean. You're asked to rank these things. So in this case, the assignment reminds you that Chapter 2 talks about things that you should consider when you're deciding what to assess. So you want to rank them and then add a justification for that ranking. At least you need to say why you picked one as most relevant and then the last one as least relevant. But you want to try to sort of split some hairs here, because as I'll show you, it's going to really help you figure out what this information is. Even if it doesn't relate to you, you're going to make sense figuring out that it isn't relevant to you. So to order them, you just drag them around like this, and that's the ordering that I came up with. Now, I picked curricular aims developed by me first. I put that first because that's the most relevant what to assess consideration in my context. That's because it's up to me to decide what I'm teaching in my class. There aren't really any external standards out there. I did rely a lot on the textbook to help come up with my standards, but I've adapted it quite a bit. The second one I think is the second most relevant. It's because I am finding standards for teachers out there, um, and those are coming from teacher organizations. But it's not clear to me whether they're also coming from the state, right? These are teachers and this is regulated. So this is what I mean by figuring out that I really couldn't rank which of these was most relevant. I had to make some sense of them to do that. Now I put advice and input from colleagues as last because, well, Jim Popham might be kind of a colleague. I mean, I met him a couple times, and I use his book all the time. But I wanted to make an important point, and that is that I'm the only faculty member at my university who teaches this course, and so it's really up to me. I have the final say. On the other hand, my course P540, Learning and Cognition, is taught by many faculty, different faculty, including faculty and adjuncts that I supervise. And we spend a lot of time discussing. So in this case, this isn't very relevant, but in the other case, it is more relevant. So there you can see my rankings that I put there. Now the last part of the core part of each assignment is big ideas. You want to give 3 big ideas about deciding assessment. Read the chapter, read the conclusion in the chapter, and give them. So here's another section that's it's optional for non-credit students. Now, if you want to develop real expertise, and if you want to develop the expertise badges, and certainly if you're taking the course for credit, if you're in P507, you are required to complete all of these parts. Now, the self-check goes straight from the textbook. That's pretty straightforward. Ponder time also is straight from the textbook. The reflection, though, I want to encourage all of you to seriously consider these reflections. I've studied this quite a bit, and I know from my experience that they're very helpful. So by consequential engagement, I really mean what will you do differently after reading about whatever topic it was this week in learning. So for instance, I've said that, I'm probably not going to do anything differently because of this lesson because I've been doing it for so long, I don't think it'll change. But I do recall that this lesson had a lot of consequences. Particularly, I realized that my curricular aims weren't as well defined as they might have been. Critical engagement is not asking you to critique your work, but asking you to critique your context, your role, for taking up the ideas in this chapter. As you saw, my context considering this in the context of a teacher education course, it made it a little hard for me to see the difference between 2 of those what to assess considerations. Now, I might have gone and looked at another student's work where that distinction was more straightforward to make more sense of those 2 things. Finally, collaborative engagement is just asking you, who did you collaborate with and what did you learn from them? Who made comments? Who gave examples that you liked? We don't strictly enforce your question posting and your discussion in this class, but you're going to learn that you're going to really appreciate it when you see your name listed on somebody else's reflection. So again, that is optional for the open course students, but I want to encourage everyone to consider taking it. Now, I want to remind you, while you're working, you want to click on Save as Draft regularly, because if you're editing and you lose your internet connection, you're going to lose your work. Now, Save and Post actually posts it. It'll show next to your name, and your classmates will be ready to go. So don't post it until it's actually done and ready to be looked at and commented by your classmates. Now, you are expected to interact with your classmates. This is part of the required assignment. Now, while you're going in and commenting, you should endorse at least 3 of your classmates' Wikifolios for being complete. Now, if they complete the required parts, click 1 button. But if they complete the optional parts as well, click on All Elements Completed. Now, this means that they've also asked a question of their classmates that is a required part of the course that they ask of each assignment. So make sure that they've done that. And if they haven't, don't endorse it as being complete. Now, the promotion part is a little different. You're instructed to promote at least 1 classmate's Wikifolio, and only 1, you're only allowed to do 1 a week, that you believe is exemplary. Now, that doesn't mean it's the best, it just means it's exemplary from your perspective. It helped you learn something important. So, click that box that indicates that you think it's exemplary and why you think it was exemplary. Again, this is my assignment, so there's nothing here. I can't endorse my own as being exemplary. And then finally, you want to post a question. So you want to post a question as part of completing your assignment, and you want to ask a good, open question, like the one I have there at the very bottom. It says, I wonder what others think about the standards. I'm raising this issue that came up in me working on my assignment. It's an open-ended question that isn't sort of a yes-no one. Now, you want to go in, you want to make comments, you want to get discussion going, you want to get really substantive, disciplinary discussion going. So that's basically what it is. Now I'm going to switch to my other site for privacy purposes and show you another part of the thing. So this is the participant list. This is what I meant earlier when I said you can see how the who's completed their assignment. So this is how you click on your classmates' work so that you can investigate it and make comments. So let's go back to the other site, to the active site. Last thing I want to show you before we leave is just this new feature, these practice exam questions. These have just been added. Now these are strictly to self-check your own understanding. We've got some minor formatting problems with, as you can see. So let's go back to the other site to show you one last thing. This is the practice exam questions. This is a new feature that was just added this year. These are for your own self-assessment. You are strongly encouraged to complete these questions before you take the final exam, actually before you move on to the next one, and probably come back and check yourself before you take the final exam, right? So you just put in your answer and say, oh, I think that's a blah, 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 and then you can just check your answer that way, all right? Now I just gave away the first answer, didn't I? Well, that's all for now, folks. I hope you found this useful. Don't forget, check the announcements regularly. If you have questions, you can post them to the Q&A forum, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you very much. So that's all for today for the short assignment video. Don't forget to check the announcements regularly. If you do have questions, post them to the Q&A forum where your classmates can see them, but you may want to consult with the facts first. Thank you very much.